I thought they were a shoo-in. Write it in pen, not even pencil, write it in pen. They were going to be the 1 seed in the West. And I look at that injury and I go, okay, you said January, mid to late January. You're talking about a young, skinny 7-foot player, and it's a hip injury. You don't want him walking different. Small, tiny changes to your gait because you lost a little muscle, you're trying to build it up. Yeah, but he can work through that as you get out there. Don't do it. Don't do it. Because tiny micro adjustments to how you run, walk, jump, land when you're playing NBA caliber basketball at the weight that he is and the height that he is, to me, is such a risk. So I look at that and I go, I kind of would be surprised if he was back mid-January. I almost think this probably gets pushed back even further. And if you do that, I think they're no longer likely to be the 1 seed. I think they're in the mix for it, but certainly not going to be a slam dunk like we thought.
Yeah, I don't imagine he'll be back in January. It sounds like it'll be a game plan will be detailed in January. And we know OKC's history. The year he tore his ACL, he probably could have returned in March or April, his rookie season, but they held him out the whole year to be extra safe. And then he played 82 games last year, and it turned out to be the right decision. Yeah. And this year he gets hurt. And I would imagine OKC's looking at the situation come January. You have a 22-year-old rising star, and you can't compromise your future with a decision to rush him back for all the reasons you perfectly outlined. Like it's scary. A guy with his frame and his injury history to rush somebody back like that. Now, we have some mutual friends who argued last year that the Oklahoma City Thunder should have made a trade last deadline to take advantage of the team that they had. And I have long argued against that. I said, wait, don't rush it. See what you have in the postseason, then go into the summer and make the proper changes. And I think that was a fine decision. They go out and get Caruso. They get Isaiah Hartenstein, and they have a better overall roster now. They look like the 1 seed. But the Chet injury does raise those questions of, well, last year when they did stay healthy, maybe they should have taken advantage. But even this year, Adam, with Chet out for some amount of time, we'll see if he returns come January when they announce the plan for him. I do feel like the urgency for OKC to make a deal does rise significantly this year, because if he can return, if there's any chance he can return come April, or even if it's during the playoffs, you got to take advantage of this team. This team is too awesome and too deep and has too much talent to not take advantage. And what else are you going to do with all these picks, right? Like, don't they feel like a team that's going to have to make a move?
There's no question to me. Now, I don't know if it's the Chet move or what have you, but teams always feel like their window is open longer than it actually is. And it's not because those guys are all young. In theory, they're all going to be good players for a long time. But injuries happen at the worst time. There's never a right time for an injury, and you never know what's going to happen. And with Chet, he's played 2 seasons now, missed 1 entirely. And now we're in year 3, and he's going to miss a majority of this one. I think if you're the Thunder, you have to look at that and say, he's a perfect fit for what we're trying to do, like his basketball skill. He's a perfect cultural fit, and I think that's important. That team has this college basketball team vibe, right? They've all grown up together.
You don't agree with Draymond? You don't agree with Draymond that it's childish and they shouldn't be doing all that post-game?
No, 100% it is, but Draymond is just, he's almost my age, so he's looking at these guys the way I do, which is like, these kids are a little annoying, but that's the job of the youth, right? They're supposed to like break their way into the echelon. But I'm with Draymond, actually. They are annoying. But but culturally, there's like not, I think it's a little underrated sometimes that 18-year-olds in the NBA play with 37-year-olds. That's a huge difference. Culturally, that's just such a big difference. That team has a nice young vibe to it. They've all grown up together. And if you start taking out a Chet and plugging in a 30-year-old, a 31 in his prime type player, it's not guaranteed it's going to work out. But nonetheless, I don't think the Thunder should look at this and say, we have 10 years to compete. What are we in a hurry for? You never know what things are around the corner.
There was some stuff bubbling up on social media that the Thunder should trade for Giannis, or at least try to trade for Giannis, or that the Bucks should try to trade Giannis to the Thunder. I'm not totally sold on that being the best decision for OKC. I've thought about this back and forth. Like, if the situation were to come up, it's hard to say no to trade for Giannis. But assuming you'd have to give up, a Jalen Williams and a bunch of picks and an Isaiah Hartenstein salary, there might be some diminishing returns with Giannis on OKC. And stylistically, you think about the way OKC plays. Is Giannis really the guy that you want to go all in for with the picks that you have if you're OKC, or are you looking elsewhere here? Would you trade for Giannis? The opportunity's there. You're on the phone with the Bucks. They want 8 first-round draft picks, Jalen Williams, Isaiah Hartenstein. Are you doing that?
I don't know if I love Chet and like Giannis. I don't know if that'd be the way I would pair this. So if that was the deal, I'm not so certain. What I will say is that what really stands out when you play the Oklahoma City Thunder is how many athletes they have. They have a lot. They have length, but they have speed. They have strength. And if you somehow added Giannis to the mix of that, I think it might be overwhelming. I already thought they might be overwhelming athletically with Lou Dort and Kaysen Wallace and all the different people they can put on ball. Shea obviously requires an athlete to guard him, so you have to have a guy occupied there. And then Chet Holmgren is an athlete and all over. If you added Giannis to even if you lost to Jalen Williams and you added Giannis to the mix, I'd be like, what team athletically just matches up? Somebody on the court is going to be at a massive athletic disadvantage at some position that they can punish you for. So I probably would take it. And then the worst thing is you get Giannis and it doesn't work out. Guess who's going to fetch you another great player? Giannis. Like if you put him back on the market, teams would be like, oh, he's available again? Sure, he'll work in our system.
It's true. I mean, you could easily flip him if necessary, but we'll see. We'll see with Oklahoma City. I think what we're going to see them do is bide their time, play this small ball edition until Hartenstein gets back. I mean, what they did against Harden tonight was really impressive. It like one possession, it's Caruso. The next possession is Jalen Williams, and then it's J-Dub, and then it's the SGA, and then it's Dort.
Waves.
Yes, exactly. They have so many great athletic defensive guards, and then against Zubats, like I know Zubats scored a bit later in the game, but I don't think it looked like he had ever dealt with hands that quick, getting swarmed by smaller guys, double team guys in the passing lanes, causing a turnover first possession of the game. Really impressive game plan by Oklahoma City tonight. And that's one thing I'll say about them. Daigneault, one of the most adaptable, one of the best coaches in the NBA. And if there's anybody that you can trust to help improve this team or figure out this mix without Chet for a while, I think it's going to be Daigneault.